It's the time to get down.
In Hollywood, he was the dad for several seasons on Smart Guy, which ran for what, almost a decade, right?
It has been running continuously around the world somewhere since 1997. It is the gift that keeps on giving.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
And
what
don't
was
you
the
love
little
your
boy's-
postal worker?
Well, you know, listen, man. Anytime you can walk to the mailbox and get a check for some work you ain't doing no more,
That's a good concept. Yeah.
And then he was in Sergeant Bilko. The
Oh,
movie.
yeah, that's
He was
right.
a co-star with, that wonderful comedian, Steve Martin.
no, let me
Wow.
tell you, when you are giving somebody's bio, you're not supposed to be giving stuff they did 15, 20 years ago. It makes them look old.
They're still renting it. They're still renting it.
And if it does, it only suggests the amount of time that you've been at the top of the game.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll take
yeah.
And
that.
JJ, you have to understand, there are people that are just discovering things. And so we put Phil's songs out on Facebook and Twitter and now on Phil Perry TV that are 35, 40 years old, and people think they're brand new.
I mean,
yeah.
it's incredible.
People are
to
being
me.
born every day.
Mm-hmm.
And people who have not even discovered Phil Perry or John Marshall Jones. And then we know you have a play that he did, Stranger in Central Park. Was that
It was The Guest at
The
Central
Guest
Park West.
At Central Park West. That was a fabulous play. And then he did the Bow Wow Club.
Right?
The Bow Wow Club.
Wow.
So I've been a big fan of JJ's ever since I met him. And he's got his own brand, Mastering the Audition. He teaches people how to audition and actually get a gig in Hollywood.
Wow.
He's awesome.
Well, you got to come back too, so we can spend some time on you.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, we'll do that. We'll come back and sit down and kind of talk about things. One of the things that I did is I left for a couple of years and did a series for Nickelodeon. So I was up in Canada and kind of out of touch for a while.
Where in Canada?
Hey.
Vancouver.
I love Vancouver.
Which was absolutely lovely. One of the things is that when you're an adult on a kids show, even though you're up there, it's not like you're working every day because it's about the kids. So I was working 1-2 days a week, and them other 3 days was vacation, dude. I was taking yoga and sailing classes. I was like, so when the season ended, I was like, no, I don't want to go back.
Man.
I don't want to go back to LA for. I got to start working again.
Yeah.
I ain't doing that.
Have
I
you
like
ever
being
thought
on
about living
vacation.
up there? Did you think maybe you would move up there?
Yeah, I could.
Is that where Ernie Watts lives?
No, he lives off of he lives on one of the islands off of Washington.
Probably the San Juan Islands.
Yes.
Yeah, it's. Let me tell you something. When you go someplace that does not have an institutional history with slavery, even when there is discrimination, it's not the same thing. It's not
Right.
like when you walk in the room or when you're walking down the street, the police are looking at you. In Vancouver, you can walk down the street and the police don't acknowledge you at all. It's almost like you almost get a little offended.
Yes.
So you're supposed to be scared of me.
That's right.
But they're not even thinking about you because it ain't enough of you up there to be a problem. So that whole idea of race being this big barrier in the same way that it is here is not at all.
It's non-existent.
Yeah,
up there.
it's very, very different. For instance, I went in to speak to somebody about redoing a mortgage up there. She said, "Oh, you're in the entertainment business. Well, you ought to talk to so and so, who's the vice president of entertainment over here at Royal Bank." Now you know, in LA, that ain't
LA is a
happening.
whole different
So
situation.
I thought, oh yeah, okay, thank you. And about, I don't know, 3-4 days later, the vice president of the bank calls. Says, "Hey, you're John Marshall Jones, right? Listen, so-and-so over in such and such division said we should be talking. How'd you like to come in on Tuesday?" It's like, well, okay.
That's
so I get in on
love.
Tuesday.
That's love.
We get to talking. They say, well, do you have an accountant working with you on your production company? I said, not right now. I said, well, here's 3 names of people that we work with, and, tell them that I sent you. And do you have an attorney? No, well, here's 3 names of people that we work with. And I was like, in L.A., it'd be like, do you have an accountant working with you? No? Okay, call me when you do.
Right.
Security.
Exactly.
So are you going to move up there? No.
They're
offering you a piece of the rock up there.
Yeah. Maybe when I stop acting.
Okay.
You know?
There is something
You're
to be
not
said
gonna stop.
for Whistler Mountain.
Oh
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
please
no, it's beautiful.
take that train
Gorgeous.
ride to Whistler.
It's beautiful. It's
Gorgeous.
beautiful. But it's not home.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not home. It
You're,
doesn't,
and
you
you're
know.
reminded everywhere you go
Yeah.
up there that you're not at home.
Yes.
You know, listen,
but home
it-
is Detroit.
Well, yeah, home is Detroit, but home's LA now. I've been
Yes.
here long
Yeah.
enough, you know. But you want to get some collard greens in Vancouver,
It's not
you
happening.
got to really go through some stuff.
Yeah.
You got to go down to like Chinatown and get to one of the grocery stores where where they got
Interesting.
they
The
use
real
it for
ones.
different reasons, but they got collard greens and kale and
Right.
you know, and so the black folks up there are mostly Caribbean, so it's like rice and beans and plantain and and that kind of thing. But I had one of my buddies from there come here and we had made up a big pot of collard greens and this brother from Canada came, he was eating, he said, "Man, these are really good. What are these?"
You never had it.
Collard greens. Yeah. Wow, this is really something.
You know, because in Canada, you're right, they look like the regular old round the corner black folks from here. Because I was up there too, and they had Jamal and all the regular, but it's not the same. They are Canadian.
It's different. I tell you what's interesting though. The piece that I did, the guest at Central Park West, we videotaped it, and then we took it around to different locations to show it.
Okay.
So we showed it in Vancouver to a mixed crowd, about 50% black, 50% white. And at the end of it, this professor of Afro-Canadian studies stood up and he said, I get exactly what's going on here. And, in 1863, the United States was very much thinking about instituting slavery all over the country, which is, what the war was all about. Mm-hmm. So the prime minister of British Columbia was black. And he told the brothers in California and down the coast, y'all come up here, I got you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
The
so
Prime
there
Minister,
was
say that again?
The Prime Minister of British Columbia in the middle 1800s, in that era, was a black man. So
I will go do some of my reading again and add to that to my knowledge.
yeah, so there was a major migration to Canada up the West Coast from brothers from California, Oregon, Washington, crossing over the border. So that was kind of the seed of the Afro-Canadian population on the western seaboard at the same time that the Underground Railroad was going up the eastern seaboard.
Right.
Through Ohio.
So you had these two major migrations of the African community moving north from the holdings of where slavery were. So we have a real direct connection to the Afro-Canadian community in that those are our cousins, only removed by time and space.
Right.
But they came through the Americas and up. So they either went to the islands and went up, or they came to the south and went up, but they came to this continent at the same time that we did. So it's a very direct connection that that I hope over time we can start to exploit, not only the cultural connection but the economic connection of a whole market of Afro-Americans that are just living north of the border, but they like, in a lot of ways, the same music. They like the same TV shows. They like, the food. They like American sports and culture. They're very, very clued in to what we're doing. And finding a way to give them access to the American market for somebody like Drake, who came out of Canada. And then to create access to the Afro-Canadian market, because a city like Toronto is 30% or so Afro-Canadian, and it's a 10 million person city. Yeah, so it's a big big community of the African diaspora.
Right.
Absolutely. So
Interesting.
Wow.
JJ, I think it's been pretty incredible to watch your career flourish and to see all of the different facets of the industry that not only have you studied, but you've learned how to get in. You should certainly be commended for your diligence in the industry.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah. And obviously a historian and a person who's educated. I'm sitting here learning once again. I love to be in a learning situation. I love that. But just the information you've been bringing is so insightful. And I've been there. And he gave me another even perspective on that. Thank you, my brother.
Well, let me also add that he's my fellow alum. We both went to Northwestern University.
Hey.
He also came out of Second City in Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah, okay.
Wow.
He's
That's
got
prestigious.
history and he's got a resume.
Now, JJ,
Wow.
everybody wants a Phil Perry story from all the guests, so you have to give them one.
Oh man,
Try to keep it clean.
that's what I'm
Children are watching.
saying. We are on the internet.
Right.
Yes.
That means it can be
Hi,
dirty though.
everybody.
Well, you know something? I really don't have any bad or dirty stories of Phil.
Damn.
Now, I do remember
Damn.
we went to, forget, I think maybe it was down in, maybe it was Long Beach Jazz. It was one of the big jazz festivals. And
Was it Pasadena or was it Long Beach?
I'm not sure. It was one of the big ones, though. Hey, Jerry. Come on in. Have a seat, brother.
That's right. That's all right. That's how we do it, Jerry. Come on. That's right. You got it.
Phil used to wear these Cuban Godfather shirts, and he looked kind of Cuban, right? So we were in some big hotel, and Phil had on, some of that big jewelry, had some big ring on his finger, and so I came over, and before I went to sit down, I went over to Phil. It was like a scene out of The Godfather. He looked at me, I took his hand, and I kissed the ring, and Phil smacked me back. He said, "Hey, man."
Phil's intense. That's what we were talking about earlier. Phil can be intense.
He's like, "Dude, look, I'm trying to make a living here, man. You making me look like The Godfather."
He is addicted to Godfather trilogy. He looks at it continually.
Are you serious?
I think
it's a problem, you know.
I don't think it's a problem as long as I stay in the music industry. No, what I love about the Godfather trilogy is the life lessons therein. Mm-hmm. You know, you can easily get caught up in all the violence and all the two-facedness that's presented in the movie, but there's some great life lessons in Godfather.
I try to get out and they pull me back in.
Well, one of the more significant things that I recall is when Michael and Sonny's boy are in the helicopter going to the meeting with the other families, and Sonny's son wants to get revenge on the other 5 families, and you can hear the anger coming out of him. And Michael just leans over and says, "Never hate your enemies. It clouds your vision."
Wow.
And how have you applied
life
that to
lesson
your
right
life?
I haven't done it.
Touche, Lillian. That was good.
Hey, everybody, I'm going to move us forward to the next phase because I think it's finally time.
It's that time.
Is it sports time?
Well, no, it's time to jam. And we understand that gathered in the house, because we're having this at the Pack Stereo Studio, which is at a house. And in the front room, we have music equipment set up just so that we can jam. We set it up actually so that last night...